Hello friends and welcome to the lecture. So friends, as we know that we are covering the National Disaster Management Authority. Alright. This is the topic that we are covering. Alright. And basically within this topic, these all are the subtopics that we have scheduled for the discussion. Alright. Like starting with the definition of the disaster. Okay. Thereafter the disaster happened over time in India. Thereafter the causes of a disaster. Thereafter the impacts of a disaster. Thereafter the elements of disaster management in India. Thereafter the establishment of the NDMA. Thereafter the objectives of the NDMA. Thereafter the functions of the NDMA. Thereafter the additional functions of the NDMA. Thereafter the State Disaster Management Authority. Thereafter the District Disaster Management Authority. Alright. So these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series. If we talk about the topics out of these which we have covered so far. So basically we have done with the definition part. We have done with the disaster happened over time. We have done with the causes of a disaster. We have done with the impacts of a disaster. And the topic that we are left with is the elements of disaster management in India. Okay. And this is a topic on which we have been discussing also. The remaining topics that we haven't started so far, these are the establishment of the NDMA, the objectives of the NDMA, the functions of the NDMA, the additional responsibilities and the functions of the NDMA, the State Disaster Management Authority, and the District Disaster Management Authority. Alright, so this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. I hope that you have revised the previous lecture in the well enough manner before you have come for this lecture, as many times I have told you that is for your own benefit. So if you are doing this on the regular basis, the thing will be far more beneficial for you. If you are not doing this on the regular basis, the thing might be difficult for you. Alright, so basically we will start from where we had left in the previous lecture. Alright, like in the previous lecture, we had started the discussion over the risk mitigation. Alright, that is a topic on which we have been discussing. Okay, but before starting this topic, let me ask you a simple question. Okay, that we have already, you can say, covered in the previous lectures. And the question is, like as we have discussing on the elements of the disaster management in India, right? We are discussing about it. So what are the 4 key elements that are the integral part of the India's disaster management strategy? Okay. So basically, we have the 4 key elements that are the integral part of the risk management strategies of India. First element is risk reduction. Okay. First element. Second is mitigation. All right. Third is quick response. And the fourth is recovery. All right. So how many elements we have? We have the 4 elements that are the part of India's integral strategy for disaster management. Okay, please remember these names: risk reduction, mitigation, quick response, recovery. The another question that I'm going to ask you is that, like in the previous lecture also, I had told you one thing. What is the difference between the risk mitigation and the risk reduction? Okay, how you will explain it? So basically, if we talk about it in the proper sense, the risk reduction is a broader strategy. Why? Because in this, we required the visiting, we required the assessment, we required the vulnerability analysis, we required a mapping, we required the public awareness program, we required the early warning systems. All right. So you can say in the risk reduction, we are required to do more steps and more things. While if we talk about risk mitigation, the risk mitigation is a smaller term. Why? Because in the risk mitigation, we are not required to do these much of strategies. Okay. Basically, we could only do the formulation of the strategies through which we could reduce or eliminate the impacts of the risk and hazards through the proactive measures taken before an emergency or the disaster occurs. Okay. And these could be categorized into the structural and non-structural measures like we have discussed in the previous lecture. Structural measures are basically related with the physical measures, okay, where the physical construction that are designed to reduce the impact of hazards were made so that the impact of the disaster could be managed effectively. These measures are like the flood dikes, like the sea walls, like the earthquake resistance buildings. Okay, like we have discussed, the flood dikes are equipped to absorb the water of the flood so that the stagnation of water could be avoided. Sea walls are generally making of the large walls around the sea coast so that the tsunami waves could be tolerated. Earthquake resistance buildings are the buildings that are specially designed to absorb the seismic waves generated by the earthquake so that the building structure should not be fall down on the floor. Okay. Thereafter, non-structural measures. Okay. These measures are, you can say, intangible measures. Why? Because these could not be feel, see, and touch. Okay. Because that contains the policies and the practices that aimed at reducing the disaster risk. And these are like the land use zoning. Okay. Like the building codes, like the hazard mapping. Okay. These are the things. And basically we take the example of this, then we can say adoption and enforcement of land use zoning practices. These are like regulating the use of land to prevent the construction in the high risk areas. The areas which are highly prone to the natural disasters, these areas are considered as a high risk areas, and basically prevention measures should be taken while doing the construction activities, so that whenever this type of disaster occurs, the people who are living over there should be safe. The structure which has been made on that particular land, that should be safe. Thereafter, implementing the building codes. Okay. It is used to ensuring that the buildings are constructed to withstand the potential hazards. Okay. Last is hazard mapping. These are like creating the detailed maps that identify the areas prone to specific hazards to guide the development and planning purposes. Okay. So we have covered the risk mitigation in the previous lecture. Here I have revised it for you also. Now let us move forward. After this, the another thing that we are required to know here is the quick response. Okay. Quick response. Here you will find that there are two words combined together. Quick and response. Response basically means that you are, you can say, responding or reacting to something that has already happened. All right. Quick means you are doing it fast. Like the thing happened, you reacted. That kind of thing. Okay. So if we talk about it in the proper sense, then we can say quick response is crucial. It's crucial for minimizing the damage caused by the disaster. Okay. Minimizing means reducing. All right. So here you can say that basically quick response is not a proactive measure, but it is an active measure. And how we can say this? Like in the previous lecture also, I have told you the one thing. In the proactive measures, basically we are taking the measures even before the thing happens. All right, so that we could prevent it before happening. Here you can say quick response is crucial for minimizing the damage caused by the disaster. Basically here you can say the disaster has already occurred, but the damage that has been caused by the disaster, that should be managed. Okay, and it involves the immediate actions taken during and after the disaster to ensure the safety and well-being of the affected populations. Another thing that we could draw from here is that immediate action. This justify the quick response. Like as I have told you, response is like you're reacting. Quick, it means that you are reacting immediately. Okay, so immediate action means suppose you are living in some area, all right, and earthquake hits the area. Okay, then immediately the relief material, the rescue team reaches the place and then they evacuating the people. That is called the quick response. And why it is necessary? Because sometimes, or not sometimes, but you can say actually in every times, whenever the disaster hits, okay, whenever the disaster hits, all right, basically it impacts the two things immediately: the safety and the lives of the people. Like suppose if there is any earthquake that has been occurred in some area, all right, then the earthquake will start demolishing the physical structures that are standing over there. That thing will be happen. All right, whenever it will happen, some people may die immediately. Why? Because you can say they stuck with something, some structure fall over them. All right, so many things are there, but not everyone who was sitting, or you can say just take an example of building so that you will be understand properly. Suppose there is a 40-story building standing on the place. The place has been struck by the earthquake. Okay, then what will happen? The building demolished because of the seismic energy generated by the earthquake. When the you can say building demolished. Okay, when the building demolished, basically it done three things. First, it took the life of several people who are inside the buildings. Several people survive. Okay, but apart from these three things, like claiming of lives and surviving, the ones are there who not died but not survive or get out from that building, but they are struck down within the building. Okay, maybe some you can say heavy structure is on their you can say body and all, and because of this they got stuck there. All right, they are unable to get out of it. So here maybe they got injured normally, maybe they got injured severely, that requires the immediate medication. So if they requires the immediate medication, then the first thing that is required over here is the most, that the person should be rescued or should be get out from that area where he got stuck down. Then only he will be able to get to the hospital, right? That's the thing. So that's why the immediate action and the immediate rescue is important, so that those could be saved that has been injured brutally, because they are not died, but even they are not in a condition that they will survive for long if they not get a immediate help. All right, so the quick response involves the immediate actions taken during and after the disaster. Taken during and after the disaster. For example, you can say suppose if you are the part of the quick response team. Okay, just assume yourself to be the part of the quick response team. Suddenly, the disaster hits the area. Hits in a manner that basically the flood hit the village and caused a huge damage. Okay, then what will happen? You are the part of the quick response team. Will you wait for the flood water to get out and then you will go? No, you will not wait. Why? Because you know that the lives are on the stake during that flood. And because you are the part of the quick response team, you are required to get there and take the people out immediately so that you could help them by, you can say, dressing them, by providing them the medication, by reshuffle them, and other things also. Okay, so you have seen that in the news channels and all, whenever there is a flood and the heavy rains in some area, that is a disaster situation. So on that time, you have seen that many rescue teams use the boats, okay, to reach here and there to get the people out from the flooded water and then provide them a shelter on a temporary basis, the food and the medications and all. Okay, so immediate actions are also taken during the disaster. After the disaster means, like suppose you can say the earthquake hit the area or the tsunami hit the area. Okay, so what I will say that it is not possible to help the people while the tsunami is occurring. Why? Because flood water is only the water. The water that has overflown the river or break the dam, that water has flown to some village and all. Okay, that is just a, you can say, water and not so much danger when we compare it with the tsunami. Why? First, the tsunami waves are so much powerful. Okay, water is in a tremendous form when this is the tsunami situation. Second is the wind velocity. Normal winds that we experience is, these are flowing at least, you can say 8 to 7 kilometers per hour. Okay, the thunderstorms that you feel, that are about 14 to 15 kilometers per hour. Okay, but the waves that generated during the tsunamis, they are normally from 140 kilometers to 200 kilometers per hour. Now you can just compare the intensity, the magnitude of the winds that generated during the normal scenarios and generated during the occurrence of tsunami or the tornadoes or the hurricanes. So the rescue team operators are also the humans. They are not the superhumans. All right. However, they are equipped and trained with some specialties, but still they are the normal humans. So even it is not possible for them to reach out the people when the tsunami is occurring. Okay. When the tornado is still in the place, when the hurricanes is still drawing the cities and the areas. All right. So generally in such a scenarios, the rescue teams reach the place immediately after the disaster or when the disaster getting reduced, the impact of is getting reduced. So you can say, for example, if it is 12 p.m. of the afternoon, all right, and the tsunami hit the place. So at least 3 to 4 hours or even for the days, the tsunami and the wind's velocity were higher. Okay. And in this scenario, it is not possible to reach the people and help them out. So basically during these times, you have seen that the rescue teams generally try to communicate the message to the people that you should reach that place, you should go that place, just reach the higher places and all. But they couldn't go to them and they couldn't rescue them on that scenario. But once the intensity of the wind slows down, when the impact of the tsunami slows down, immediately they started reaching out the people. Okay, so that they could ensure the safety and the well-being of the affected population in case the area where the tsunami hit it. Okay, and if we talk about the key components that are included in this, okay, so we can see them over here. All right. But before this, let me ask you a simple question. That is, in which year India experienced the tremendous tsunami? Okay. That hit India in a manner that many of our coastal areas got damaged in a manner that many people got displaced, the economy got shuttered, and many lives were claimed. You are required to tell me the year. Okay. So basically that was the year of 2004. Okay. In 2004, basically the India experienced its one of the worst tsunami cases. All right. That hit the Indian coastal areas in a manner that not only the people's life of that area got affected, but also the Indian economy get shocked because the marine trades, all right, and you can say the marine resources are one of the important part of the Indian economy, and these got affected badly during the 2004 tsunami. All right. So now we will start the discussion over the elements. First element that we can see here is the emergency response system. Okay. In its name, there are two words, emergency and response. It means that there is any emergency, immediate adverse situation, and in respect of it, there is a required response or the reaction. So what is the elements of it? Coordinating effects by various agencies to respond to the disaster promptly. Okay. Like you have seen, whenever the disaster occurred in an area. Okay. So immediately the local police get activated. All right. Even sometimes you have seen that the military and the paramilitary members called immediately to help the people to rescue them out. And then civil administration and the medical administration also started immediate work. Okay. So that they could provide the immediate response to the survivors, to the people who have experienced that particular disaster. Okay. For example, we can take the example of Kerala floods. In recent 2 or 3 years, basically Kerala experience is one of the worst cases of flood. Okay. The flood hit the state in a manner that many of the houses get demolished, many of the transport systems got failed, and many people's life were claimed by the disaster of flood, and many peoples were forced to replaced. During that time, the Indian Air Force, the Indian Army, the CRPF and all, they were called immediately to rescue the people. Okay. And then we have seen that the local place, the civil administration, the medical administration, not of only the state, but also of the adjoining states and the central governments got immediately active. Okay. So that they could rescue the people. They could provide the adequate help to the severely injured people, and they could arrange the dead bodies in a manner that were recovered, that their loved ones should be able to find them out. Okay. That was the emergency response system. Got it? After this, search and rescue operation. This is one of the important factor during the disaster management and providing the quick response. Okay. How it is done? Like whenever the disaster occurred, whether it's earthquake, whether tsunami, whether it's flood. Okay. So everyone is trying to save him or her life. They start running here and there in order to save themselves. Okay. So basically during this time, many people got separated from their loved ones. All right. So, and many people got stuck in an area where they shouldn't be. So first thing is search. It means that search for them who got misplaced, who got misappeared. All right. Second is the rescue. Once they got searched, then requires the rescue. It means now they should rescue them. All right. So basically for this, teams are deployed to find and rescue the individuals who got trapped or injured during the disasters. Okay. Because without search them, without rescued them, how the help should be provided to them. Okay. So you have seen that many teams like the team of NDMA, NDRF, paramilitary, military, local police and all, they deployed together and then they started searching here and there. Okay. For the individuals who might get trapped or injured during the occurrence of the disaster. Okay. Thereafter, the third step is the medical assistance. Once the person found, okay, who survived the disaster, and you can say who trapped or injured during the disaster. Once they got found, the second major step is providing the urgent medical care. Okay. Because as we have discussed the impact of the disaster, maybe the injury is just a minor cut and all, but even it could be a severe injury that requires the immediate medical support. All right. So that's why urgent medical care provision is also an important. Thereafter, the evacuating plan. Like the people who are in the area of the disaster that has been occurred or occurring, still occurring, okay, they must be evacuated from the place, okay, because again and again they will be in the risk of getting injured. So implementing the strategies to move people to safely, quickly and efficiently, that is also the part of quick response. Okay. These are the things. So students, basically in this lecture, we have done with the quick response. In the next lecture, we will start from here. Okay. We will try to understand the recovery part. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture. All right. So far, out of 4 elements, we have discussed the 3, like the risk reduction, risk mitigation, and quick response. In the next lecture, we will start with the recovery. So now you can understand, like we are going forward. So it is, you can say, equally important to keep the record of the previous things that we have covered already. And this could be only generated when you revise them in a proper manner. Okay. So with this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.